Morning, everybody. It's King of Honor, and we're doing that pop culture thing this week. And this is, Jeff, and right over there, that guy there, that's Shane. And
Hi. I'm waving.
by request from one of our loyal fans, wanted us to take a look at a movie. Shane, you gonna tell us about this movie?
Well, in 2008, there was a film that came out called The Strangers.
Ugh.
Um, that came out in the theaters, and my daughter and I went to see that movie in the theaters. At the time, I thought it was pretty decent. And now, then 10 years later, unbeknownst to me, a sequel came out called The Strangers Pray at Night, or sometimes referred to as The Strangers 2 Pray at Night. Um, and they're both slasher films. I did see this morning, Jeff. I was looking at Wikipedia right before we got on the call here, where the budget of it was $5 million and it grossed $32.1 million worldwide. So it actually was a success.
And to be honest, I can kind of see that because there's not a whole lot of slasher films made anymore. So, it kind of ticks a genre that people might want to see. So I could see where it did make some money. Um, Now, as far as the first one goes, I couldn't even watch it. I couldn't watch the ending. I have no clue what happened. All I know is that it was awful.
You
Um,
paid for it and couldn't finish it?
I could not finish it. I couldn't. Thank God it was only $3 because I could not muscle the energy to finish it. The other thing is that
Well, see, I paid 15 because I actually bought the damn things. Because I remember breaking in
oh,
the theater and I was like, never gonna watch this again. It was a waste of
ugh,
$11.
I'm glad I
So
only rented it. Now I was looking when I was looking up this morning for a picture to have, on our live stream. Um, I came across something that said that this was a prequel, which doesn't make any sense because they died in it.
yeah,
So
which one was a prequel?
the Strangers Pray at Night.
No, it's a sequel.
That's what I thought too, but there was something on there where it said it was a prequel. I read it on a couple of different when I was looking up. Um, Normally I just go to IMDb, but I, for some stupid reason, scrolled down a little bit, and it actually said that this was a prequel, which makes no sense at all.
No, and Wikipedia says it's a sequel, and at the end, you said you didn't finish the Strangers, but at the end of the Strangers, as the three killers are getting back into their pickup truck, the blonde girl, the one that is asking about Tamara,
Yeah.
she says next time it'll be easier. So clearly, the Strangers was their first time
Okay.
actually doing it.
All right. Yeah, I was. As far as the original goes, I was disappointed. I never actually even saw the ending of it. But this one ticked all the boxes as far as a slasher film goes. You had the troubled teen who's clearly going to be the sole survivor. You had the overbearing parents. You had creepy, uh, the creepy killer in the background who could have easily taken the kill but then just disappears. You had all the little boxes that would normally be ticked on a slasher film.
Guys, this week's soundtrack is brought to you by Rhaegar and Savannah.
Ah,
Um,
again,
Again,
they were a cappella last week.
well, I first want to just say, I know you didn't finish it, but you saw enough of The Strangers to see how kind of awful the boyfriend was to the girlfriend,
Oh, well,
and where you kind of like looking, and you're like, well, of course, douchebag, she's not going to marry you after the way you're treating her. I mean,
well,
he's like, because he's like, oh, nobody came in the house, there's nobody here, all this other kind of shit, and then he's like, I know there's a gun here somewhere. And he finds the gun. He's like, I'm looking for bullets. It's a shotgun, motherfucker. You're not going to find bullets. You might find slugs or shotgun shells. You're not going to find bullets.
okay, so now
And and
you're the one
and
picking apart the little tiny
and then
details.
and then he goes and then he goes. She's like, he's like, I got to figure out how to load this. And she goes, but you went hunting with your dad. And he goes, or no, she goes, you said you went hunting with your dad. And he's like, yeah, I said that. And it's like, you lied to her about hunting with your dad? And you think this bitch should marry you? What
Well,
the fuck?
here's the thing. I mean, yeah, we see little things like that throughout the movie, but I'm not sitting here going, that's the way he treated her all the whole time. I'm more thinking,
Well,
dude, he's
Jeff,
pissed.
Jeff, he lied to her about going hunting with his dad. Who does that?
Um,
What would be the purpose behind that?
just awful people in general. I don't know. Maybe she was a hunter and he was trying to look cool to her. Who cares? Who really cares?
And yes, I understand that he was mad at her, but at the same time, she called him panicked, and then all of a sudden the phone went dead. You would have thought he would have called 911 and or at least like rushed back to see what was going
Oh,
on.
trust me, we'll get into that whole thing here in a little bit.
and and then like you texted me like he couldn't see it was his best friend before he shot him in the face.
Right, yeah.
Seriously,
He saw that he didn't have a mask on, but he couldn't tell that it was his friend. I mean, he immediately
I
gets done shooting him and he's like, um, he didn't have a mask. So you couldn't tell that that was, I don't know. It was rough. It was rough.
I do think both movies though are very very good at setting a creepy atmosphere to them. Like you really do get the feeling like they're the only people left in the world. Where you feel like yeah, they've got like basically they're basically like in serious jeopardy because there's just like um they feel like they're trapped. It really does feel like they're trapped, and you don't get that out of like a lot of these slasher films where you always think, well, you can do this, you can do that, but these ones you really do feel like um they're secluded, I
Yeah, I
guess.
mean, and I'm gonna jump, to the ending here, and we'll kind of backtrack a little bit. But some of the things like at the ending of the movie, like she's in that police jeep, whatever, police truck, and there's no keys. And the psycho girl has the keys standing outside the door. She uses them to unlock the door. She gets into the van, shotgun blast, shotgun dead, so on. And then I never saw her bend over to pick up the keys, but all of a sudden she's in the police vehicle with the keys.
Yeah, I that was just bad. I think that was just bad editing.
And the other thing, I'm screaming at my TV, going, "There's a CB, dumbass!
Yeah,
Call for help!"
I was too. I was too.
And then the other thing that really kind of got me was that truck ran through a trailer twice, um, ran into this police truck three times.
When Jeff says the truck, he's not talking about the police truck. He's talking about a pickup truck that the killers used.
Yeah, it's like a 1980s pickup truck, and there was a little dent in the hood, but both headlights were still working after running headfirst into, five different things. Don't you think it would have broke at least one headlight?
Yeah, I mean, I hit a deer going 55 miles an hour and busted both headlights. So,
Yeah, I mean, I
so I think running into, um, like you said, into like through the trailer and into vehicles, yeah, definitely, at least one of the headlights should have been
at
shattered.
least a blinker could have been shattered, a parking light or something. I don't know. I backed into a snowbank at 5 miles an hour once and broke a tail light. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Excuse me. And then, after the third time he hits the truck, he she lights the leaking gas on fire and blows up the truck. And he's still able to drive said pickup truck around with the engine on fire for what, good 5 minutes?
Yes, I would say that's about right.
And then he gets out and he goes to attack her and then dies. Just dies. Just falls over dead. So she's out wandering on the road. She runs into a family, well, a son and mother, who are driving in a convenient pickup truck. And the boy is conveniently a baseball player, flashback to Luke. And also because there's a conveniently placed baseball bat in the back of the truck.
That hasn't gone flying out at all.
No, that doesn't go flying out when she takes off, and she uses said baseball bat to hit the guy that she had previously saw die. So, I, I, I mean, I guess that's a slasher film trope. You think they're dead, but they're really not, blah blah. But it was still, that's just like the final 30 minutes of the movie, and had some issues. I'm not gonna lie, it had a few issues. But ultimately, it was a fun little hour and 40 minutes. It was a perfect slasher flick. I kind of enjoyed it. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It for a slasher flick, it was, and it was not bad, and it was definitely better than its predecessor.
oh my
So,
God, so much better. So much better.
but and you kind of, and I actually think it made it better for me watching The Strangers first, and then watching this one, because I could see how much better it was, and also I got to see these three people, kind of these three killers, um,
Evolve.
kill, evolve, and also then get what was coming to them.
Right.
They actually ended up, well, two of them ended up dying. The third one, I think he's actually still alive even after the baseball bat shot and getting knocked out of the back of the pickup truck. So
And getting blown up and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, now when you actually look at the movie and you look at the start, the first thing we see is just this long, embarrassingly long camera shot on an empty road with some tail light or headlights that kind of appear in the distance and slowly roll up. I swear to God, that scene lasted like 35 minutes.
Clearly not.
No, I mean, it was more like 35 seconds, but holy crap. And you know, and you know in 2018 when a hillbilly pickup truck with three people in it rolls through and it's got 80s pop music playing that they're clearly psychopaths.
They're either psychopaths, or they're the guy. They're the the teenagers from Goonies with the guy keeping adjusting the mirror to look up the girl's pants
Yeah,
or the girl's skirt. Yeah.
something like
So,
that. But
yeah.
and then you know, luckily we didn't get to see the first people dying. We just had some creepy scenes. We got to see the whole deadness later. But as we're going through this movie, and that one chick keeps asking for Tamara, and it's getting creepier and creepier. And now I understand why the kids didn't have their cell phones. Now I don't understand why you, as a parent, wouldn't remind your oldest son to take his cell phone
Well,
with him.
they had told them put the cell phones away.
Right,
Remember?
but when you send him out to chase your sister in an area that you've never been before, and there's already been a creepy girl at your house twice, wouldn't you say, "Hey, why don't you take your cell phone with just to be safe?"
You kind of would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a parent, as a good parent, that's what you would do. Um, then the fact that the parents even left the house without their cell phones
When they went looking for their kids.
when they're looking for their kids.
Yeah, yeah. Where you're like when you're like, I hope the kids are okay. Why don't you bring your cell phones with you in case, to like maybe call 911 in case they're not okay,
Or, just to be on the safe side. I
or
mean,
like to split up and maybe like text, like be able to like communicate back and forth, like I found them, so you're not like walking all over the place
right, exactly.
trying to find each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little little plot hole. Like normally I'm the one that picks up the really 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 intense bad plot holes, like you did with the shotgun shell, and like you did with the Colt, the gun handgun in this one.
Yeah.
Normally,
Yeah.
normally I'm the one that picks those up, but the ones that I picked up was the cell phone. The other one that kind of got me was Christina Hendricks, the mom, Cindy.
Oh, she can get me. She can get me anytime.
Oh my goodness. But when she got stabbed in the bathroom, she got stabbed in, like the liver back area.
Yeah.
And she died immediately. Now her son, in the pool later on, got brutally stabbed in essentially the same area. And he was still alive at the end of the movie.
Well, youth. Youth recovers quicker.
Oh, is that it? Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, youth has like some kind of a force field to stop them from,
Ah,
you know. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah.
Um.
I'm not gonna lie, I did like the family. I liked every one of the actors in the family. Um, I thought they were well cast, and I felt like they all fit the roles perfectly. Um,
I thought I think I've seen the girl in something, and I know that Christina Hendricks has, she started off on Firefly, and then she was in Mad Men. She had a show called Good Girls on NBC. So she's been working fairly regularly in television, and then the husband, I don't know the name of the actor, but He was in Grey's Anatomy for a few seasons. He was, and then he's currently starring in Heartland. So
I'll,
he's also regularly working as a television actor.
his name on the
So
show was Mike, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So, um, on in his real name is Henderson something, but I'll look that up in a second because I'm looking up. Bailey Madison is the one that played the girl Kenzie.
yeah,
And she's in a Good Witch TV show. She was on that from 15 to 19 in 55 episodes. Um, she was in a couple Megan Trainor videos.
that's probably where I've seen her.
Oh, she was in a Cowgirl story, the Dusty Road story.
Oh, she was young Snow White in Once Upon a Time. That's where I would have
Yep.
seen her as in
And
Once Upon
she
a Time.
was in The
Okay,
Fosters for a while. She was in, yep, Once Upon a Time. So yeah, I mean, she's got a pretty decent career.
she does.
And she's only 22 years old, so she's got a lot left in her. Martin Henderson is the guy that played Mike that used to be on Grey's.
Yeah, and the only thing with him in this show is you could kind of hear, and I don't know, maybe you didn't pick up on it because you haven't seen him on Grey's, but you could kind of hear his New Zealand accent like
Oh yeah,
fading in and out.
yeah, I heard
Okay,
it. I
okay,
caught
okay,
that, and
okay,
he was you could definitely hear it a few times.
okay. I thought I could hear it. I just wasn't sure if it was just my knowledge of who he, what his nationality is sneaking through.
Now, the one thing that confused me is I knew there were three of them from the opening scene of the truck. Um, but Emma Bellamy, she's the one that played the doll face character. She was pretty prominent in this. That the guy, his name is Damian Maffei, played the man in the hood. He was pretty prevalent in this. But there was one scene where I knew there were three, and I thought that maybe the third was another son in a hood because as he's driving the truck around hunting Kinsey in the playground area, he also takes the time to get out of the truck while he's hunting Kinsey to go and stab the dad with a screwdriver who's stuck in the car after turning on horrible 80. So, so when that was happening, I was like, oh, okay, so the third one's another guy. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, at the ending, this third girl shows up, and her that I had no previous nothing about, and no knowledge of nothing. It's just all of a sudden she's there, and I'm like, I kept going back and forth. Okay, is that the blonde? She's just got a wig. What's going on here? And then when I saw the blonde obviously get shot later, that I realized it wasn't. Um, but
No, no. I think the first thing that we see the dark haired girl is she is in that pipe with Kinsey, where Kinsey like, runs into the pipe, and then she's being on Kinsey's left hand side.
yeah, and see, I thought that was the doll face one. I didn't realize
Gotcha.
that was a third girl. Um,
Second girl.
second girl, yeah, that was the third person.
Right.
But it's funny when you look at this Prey at Night cast. You've got the four family that are the four leads, and then you have the three actual killers, and then when you're looking back at this stuff, it's just a bunch of bit players that were only in it for about 30 seconds.
Well, yeah. I mean, is there a cast? Is there more than 10 people in the cast?
I don't think so.
I don't think so
There
either.
can't be. I mean, well,
I mean,
I
I mean,
guess
I,
if
I
you,
can't. I mean, I can't. Oh, I guess there's the kids that are playing
yeah, the
baseball with.
baseball kids.
So there's
Um,
like that's like, and that was like 5 or 6. So maybe like 16 people total in the cast.
yeah, I mean, it was
So I don't
four.
think, 'cause I don't think he was. I don't think he was at the gas station or anything like that. So it was the aunt and uncle.
Yep,
It
it
was the
was the
family.
family,
So
so
that's
that's
so that's
six.
6. It was the mom and her kid in the truck. The deputy. And then the kids playing baseball. Right. That was the whole cast. Right.
Well, and then of course the three actual
Oh, and the three.
slashers.
Yeah, the three
Yeah, so
slashers.
you're right. It's probably maybe 16, 17 people on the entire cast, and all except for eight of them had just little bit 30 seconds spots,
Right.
and 10 of them didn't even say a word.
Wait, Leah Enslin as pinup girl? Who the hell's pinup girl?
Pinup Girl was the dark-haired one.
Okay,
That's like
gotcha.
I said, I had no clue who she was. She just all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think that's the other one because they were wearing similar masks, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
So I just thought maybe she put on dark wig.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Um, yeah, I did think I did think some parts with the gun where like just like roll my eyes at like they like that like I had texted you like it's a 38 Chief special. You don't have to cock the hammer back to pull the trigger.
Well,
It's not.
the part that got
And
me,
then the other part was that when the kid sees Dollface stab um Kinsey, and then he's like, "You better not stab her anymore. I'm going to shoot you." And he doesn't
right?
actually shoot her. It's like, why didn't you shoot her? You know, these three people are, there's at least two people trying to kill you. You've already seen her, and you've seen the guy in the hood.
Right.
And they're trying to kill you. They just she just stabbed your sister in the leg, right through her femoral artery.
And you've already
And
seen that she got your mother.
right, so why didn't you just pull the trigger? Because she's coming after you regardless.
Right.
I mean, I probably would have done out of revenge, like you just said by killing your mother. But I mean, at least for self-preservation, you kind of have to. That just to me was like what? So it was but it did set him up to kill. But he did end up killing pinup girl later.
Right. And
So
I mean, it was a perfect, like I said, it was a perfect slasher film trope. So I just kind of, even though I'm screaming at my TV, why didn't you shoot her and all this? Or at least, your sister was ready to do it. Why didn't you give it to her? Um,
hmm
I still kind of just went, oh, okay. Yeah, the kid that played Luke, I thought might have been my favorite actual character in the movie. His name is Lewis Pullman, and he looked really familiar. Um, and I couldn't quite place him, but he looked a lot like I felt like a younger version of the guy that played uh, uh, I can't Gordon from Gotham.
okay.
He had that look to him, and it doesn't look like he's really been in a whole lot of things I would have ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah, my only problem with him was he was supposed to be playing like a high school senior, and I thought he looked like he was 25 years old.
Well, I mean,
And
Kinsey,
it turns out he's 28 right now. So 3 years ago he would have been
yeah,
25.
and I mean, and
So I nailed it.
Kinsey looked a lot older than a 17-year-old though too. So, uh,
I didn't think so actually. I did not think she looked a lot older than a 17-year
oh,
old.
see, I did, and it turns out she's 22 now, so she would have been 19, but.
Yeah. So that's not
Well,
like that much of
actually,
a difference, you know.
if you think about it, these movies go into production a good year and a half before they actually get released. This movie was released in 18, so she probably really was a 17-year-old when that movie was being filmed.
Actually, she's only 21 right now.
Okay, she turns 22 then this year.
Yeah.
But she was probably, when they were filming the movie, probably really a 16 or 17-year-old girl,
Yeah.
which would have made Luke about a 21-year-old guy.
No,
Oh,
he was
23.
25,
He would have been 23.
23 or 24.
23-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like I said, that was my only problem with him was I felt like he looked too old for the role. And I guess we kind of grew up on Beverly Hills 90210 when they all look too old for the role. So
Oh
I guess
yeah.
it's not
Well,
that big of a
especially
deal.
Luke Perry. Oh my goodness. Dude was 45 cast as a 16-year-old.
Wait, did you mean Luke Perry or did you mean the dad of Jungle Boy Jack Perry?
Hey, Luke Pullman, maybe that's why he looks so familiar. His dad's Bill Pullman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So maybe that's why he looked so familiar. But I mean there were a couple of little glances he did where I was like, that looks like a younger dude from Gotham. There was just a few little things that he did. But yeah, his dad is Bill Pullman.
Speaking of Bill Pullman, have you ever seen Absolute Zero?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love that movie.
There's so much Bill Pullman stuff. I could go for days. He was one of my favorite. It's not that he was ever one of those actors where I was like, oh yeah, he's one of the greatest actors ever. But he was always in like every movie I saw or wanted to see, he was had either a bit part in it um or was you know kind of the lead actor, but not really. But my two favorite movies that he was in was Spaceballs, um, and
Yep.
then his role in Wyatt Earp. Those are the two movies that I remember seeing that I loved him the most in. Independence Day was another one. Zero Effect, like Placid. Oh, geez, we could go on and on. Spy Games.
Well, yeah, it was Zero Effect. It wasn't Absolute Zero. I was, yeah, okay.
Um, t
Yeah. but yeah, there, yeah, you're right. I mean, there was a time though where where it seemed like he was in um, pretty
Literally
much like
everything.
every movie that was coming out that year.
Oh, his role, his because he played for people listening, if you don't know, he was the lead, basically the lead in Spaceballs. He was Lone Star in Spaceballs, and was just absolutely phenomenal. That movie is still one of my all-time favorites.
I told you to take only what you need to survive.
Right. He was in The Grudge. He was in Scary Movie. Wow, Bill Pullman.
Yeah, I like Bill Pullman. Like you said, it was like you said, it's not like he was ever one of my very favorites, but yeah, I mean he's definitely recognizable and he's a strong actor, and when you see him in something, he's always very enjoyable.
Well, if you look at like Lone Star from Spaceballs, and that movie was what, 86, 87-ish? Um,
87.
so that would have been about, the same age as his son now, 20, in that 25 to 30 range.
Yeah,
So if you look at him back in that movie, he does look a lot like Luke does now in this movie.
I can see the resemblance. I don't think he looks exactly like him or
Not
anything like that.
exactly, but he's definitely his father. He's-
Oh yeah, and he was in Malice too. That's right.
yeah. So I
He
mean,
was the husband in Malice.
yeah, he's been in a ton. But okay, so I don't know. Do you have any more on this one? I
I do not. I would say that these movies clock in, like, if you take away the credit time, like it probably like 2.5 hours combined. So I mean, if you guys want to see some slasher films and you want to see the whole story, I wouldn't necessarily not recommend these.
I would recommend the second one. I couldn't even stomach getting through the first one. Um,
But I'm saying if they want to see the whole story of the killers.
we were talking about a book yesterday, where there was no likable characters, and that's the way I felt about the first one.
That's
Like,
true.
I did not, I thought the dude was a douchebag to his girl, even though I kind of understood it. I mean, if somebody had just decided not to marry me, I would have been probably, but not a condescending douchebag, but I would have been more of a douchebag than probably normal. The only person in that first movie that I actually liked was Mike, the one that got shot by his best friend. And we only saw him
Oh,
for like 35 seconds.
I forgot to say something about that first movie. Did you notice that the ice cream never melted?
Hmm.
Okay, just
Yep,
making
I
sure.
noticed that. Yeah, that was one of those where I was like, "What? Really? How cold is it there?" But yeah,
All
I
right,
mean,
no,
I would not recommend the first one to anybody. Skip it. It's not, you don't need to see the complete story to realize it's a slasher flick. Um, I watched it and I text Shane. I'm like, why does it feel like I really should have seen the original first? Just because it felt like there was like missing gaps. But after seeing the hour of the second one or the first one that I saw, you don't need to see it.
that's funny. You checked out like an hour in, and you probably had like 20 more minutes to watch. So,
Oh, I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. When there was a spot where she ran out after him. He said, "Stay here, stay here, stay here," and she busted ass after him, and then got stalked by that killer. And that was one of the first times where I noticed it's like, "Geez, you're right there. Just stab her already." And that, I mean, at that point, and she's falling all over the place, screaming in agony, and not even being chased, just fell. I just like, it's bad acting, unlikable characters. I'm done.
and the bad acting are respected actors like Liv Tyler and Bill and Scott Speedman too. So it's kind of
Which is really was hard to stomach, because they were recognizable characters, that people, they were actual decent actors, but man, they were not doing a very good job acting in this one. Neither one of them.
they were just collecting a paycheck, man.
That's kind of what it felt like, because they were phoning it in, kind of like Randy Orton does when he's not invested in a storyline.
All right, guys. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes.
We got some wrestling talk and some insight into a few different things that I saw this morning. I'm kind of a little irritated.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow,
Sorry.
wow, wow, wow,
Wow,
wow,
wow.
wow, 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 wow.
Yeah, I watched a couple of those today too, so we might get some of that. It's easily my favorite YouTube show. And if you don't know what it is, it's called uh
Pitch meeting.
yeah, it's called Pitch Meeting, but it goes by different different name. Pitch Meeting's the name of the channel.
No,
Um,
Screen Rant is the name of the channel. The name of the
okay.
show is Pitch Meeting.
But they, when you look it up on their site, you can't find it just by searching Pitch Meeting. You have to search for his catchphrase, the barely an inconvenience.
Oh, I just search YouTube for Pitch Meeting and I find all
Oh, do
kinds
you?
of them.
Okay, yeah. They've got a playlist on their channel. It's called Barely an Inconvenience. Did you, and you gotta, I, since we're doing the pop culture right now, I kind of want to talk about it. Did you ever watch their 200th episode where it was the catchphrase pitch meeting?
No.
Yeah, it's funny. They do little flashbacks and everything.
Okay.
But all right, so 10 minutes, guys. We'll be back next week. Not sure what we're gonna do here. We don't have a movie, do we? It doesn't. Next one comes
No.
out in June, right?
No, we had talked about doing Jupiter's Legacy next, though, I
Do you want
thought.
to do Jupiter's Legacy or do you want to finish up Doom Patrol?
I want to finish. Well, Jupiter's Legacy is more timely
Okay, so
right
let's
now.
do that. Let's do that for next week. How many episodes is it?
8.
Think we can pound out all 8 in a week, or do you want to do split it up?
I don't know if I can.
All right, well, let's tentatively go 4. If we can get in all 8, we'll do all 8.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But tentatively, with the first 4 episodes of Jupiter's Legacy next week, and in about 10-ish minutes, we'll be back with some wrestling talk.
All right. See you in a few minutes.
Bye.
Bye.
God, I can't end this.